Hey guys, this is Andrea with Entice Life Weddings and Events here. And I wanted to take the time to just talk to you guys about how to be mindful in your wedding planning right now. I know that there's a lot going on, and so I really just wanted to take this time to share with you some ways to approach wedding planning that again will help you feel less overwhelmed, less stressed out. That's always my goal for my clients and for couples that are in this process. I want you to stay mindful even in your approach to wedding planning, because wedding planning is already stressful enough. We don't need to even throw in the fact that we're in the middle of a global pandemic, which is just scary enough on its own. But you know, now is not the time to give up on the things that bring joy into our life. Now is not the time to give up on love, or even just having the ability to express that love for each other. So I'm here to help you. I have 5 things that will help you through this process, and hopefully it'll help you feel a little better during this whole process. So number 1, this is the number 1 thing. You need to go and grab yourself a big old bowl of patience, okay? You have to be patient during this process. I'll tell you why. It is unprecedented. We haven't really had to go through anything of this magnitude before. Both vendors and clients are scratching their head at what to do in this situation. So you have to have a lot of patience. Not to mention, a lot of things will be changing, and you know, when you have an abrupt change in your life, it can be a little bit jarring to just have to go through that and not really have a means or have the time to fully bounce back from it. So number 1 is patience. You're going to need to grab your patience. And so in being mindful, that usually relates to meditating, practicing some type of exercise to get that physical stress out of your body. Also really just taking the time to take care of yourself. So all of those things will help you kind of, decrease the stress, pump up the calm and the peace within yourself. And that is my first piece of advice. So moving right along into number 2, you're gonna wanna do your research. And this is the tricky part about this. If you live in an area where you know that there is an uptick in coronavirus cases, or you know where things are escalating pretty quickly, it can change. Like your research from today can change if legislation and policy goes in effect tomorrow that says, no, now we're changing to this amount of people, or you can't have, any gathering in this location. So it's really about doing your research and staying on top of it. Now, this is where, if you're a lucky individual that took the time to snag yourself a planner, that is what they do for you. They literally do that research. So that way you don't have to worry about what's going on. All you have to do is just stay informed as your planner informs you, and that in itself is already going to take a lot of the stress and burden off of you, because like I said, these things can change now day to day. And so it's really important to stay on top of the research and understand what's going on in your area. Now, you're gonna wanna also follow this 3rd piece of advice almost to a T. Like, you need to really be on top of this. Communication. So this doesn't just mean communicating with your vendors or with your guests. This is communication on all levels. So you have to communicate with your soon-to-be spouse. You have to communicate with your potential vendors, your current vendors. You have to be very frank and blunt about what it is that you want to see happen, because everybody has different interpretations of how they want to move forward with this. Some couples are deciding, I want to do something small in the backyard and maybe go to a restaurant for the reception. That's perfectly fine. Other couples are doing elopements where it's just the two of them and maybe two other friends as witnesses, and then they're going to have a big, larger ceremony in a year or two when things cool off. And so you have to kind of communicate this to your vendor so they understand what level of celebration that you want right now. And right now, because safety is the number one thing, you have to communicate what expectations that you have also of your vendors in terms of safety and just making sure that your guest or whoever's there with you, or just you and your soon-to-be spouse, are comfortable in partaking in this celebration. Because if everybody's apprehensive, if everybody feels too nervous, it's going to be very stiff and tense, and you want just to kind of just put that ease back into the situation. So communicating, being very upfront about what it is you want, and communication on all levels. Be frank with your guests, like, hey guys, we really love you, but we can't have you here at our wedding at this time. We're going to plan to do something else. You can word it however you want to word it, but just definitely letting them know, hey, you may get a couple of notifications from us. You might get a notification if we decide to change the date due to X, Y, and Z. Just kind of being upfront and communicating with your guests, with your vendors, with your spouse, with everyone. So you're going to be saying a lot of the same stuff over and over again. It happens, but you do need to communicate. And again, this is where, if you're one of the lucky ones that got yourself a planner, they can handle this for you. This is where they step in. And I know me personally, I like to communicate with the client, the vendors, the guests, everyone involved. So it's easy to kind of make sure that everything flows smoothly. Now, the fourth thing you're gonna have to take in as a piece of advice is that you're gonna have to get a little adaptable. Yeah, that's kind of like my little shimmy shoulder shake. Don't mind that. You're gonna have to get adaptable. And what I mean by that is getting fluid, flexible, ready for change. Things might change overnight. Like I said, your research might change. Your guest list is gonna change. Your location might change, your date might change. Everything about this event will probably change, and that's okay. That is A-OK. I'll tell you why. Because that is the nature of events. We are in a field full of creatives, which means we have people they bake cakes, they play instruments, and they run the whole entertainment section of your event, or they provide food and they do it in such a beautiful way. And like all of these creative, talented people have no lack of creativity when it comes to solving a problem. And so we are definitely working on our end to make sure that we can still give you guys an amazing experience. It's going to be a one of a kind, of course, because this whole period in history is going to be one of a kind. So I just, I want you to get ready to get flexible. So if you're into yoga, get ready to stretch it out. Number 5. The fifth thing that I'm going to tell you as the most important piece of advice I can give you to be mindful during your wedding planning process is that you're gonna have to just proceed. Like, you're gonna have to walk through that tunnel. You're gonna have to make a decision and just move forward with it. This is not the time to just dwell and dawdle and just think about it over and over again. I'll tell you why. Because during this process of having to make all these changes, it is natural to grieve what once was. You're grieving the loss of this big plan, this big event that you had in mind that you had to completely just derail because of something that has nothing to do with you. And it's like taking a loss, it's taking a hit, you're losing something. So it's normal to kind of drag your feet. I honestly have seen brides just kind of like give up, like, ugh, I'm done. And you know, that's at the place where you're going to get yourself into this deep hole of depression and sadness. You don't want to get yourself all wound up about what could have been when you can make something happen right now. So I encourage you from the bottom of my heart, just proceed, have a small function right now, plan something bigger later on. You're getting married, okay? So your spouse will still be around in a few years, okay? They'll still be there with that ring on their finger and happy to be next to you to do it all over again, because that's what love is about, you know? It's unconditional. So I would say those are the top 5 things that I could recommend for couples that want to be mindful while wedding planning right now. Definitely just take a moment to think about how beautiful it is that you even still have the opportunity to express your love, share your love, be with your loved one during this time, even if it is through a virtual face-to-face interaction or telephone or any means that you get to spend time with people, because that is what is valuable, those moments. Even if they're not physically next to us, we still can capture those moments, have those moments, remember those moments forever. So let's just keep in mind that we can make this happen. So those are my 5 tips for being mindful during wedding planning. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.